Okay, some stuff to read, okay? Now, I'm just going to jump to the kind of important information here, but if you want to read through this in your own time, you can do. What we're saying here is this. Look at this down here. I'm going to mark off this. A copier, right? It leases for $455 a month, and also, plus, it costs 1.5 cents for every copy, okay? So, how much are you going to lease this machine for? Now, here's the thing. The amount you lease it for, honestly, it really does depend on how many copies you make. The $455 a month is a fixed amount. They're always going to charge you that. They're also going to charge you per copy. So copy, that amount of copies, is the input. Okay, the whole price that depends on the amount of copies you make. All right. So again, so I'm just saying myself. So the output must be the total price. In other words, the total monthly cost. Okay, is the output. Okay, because it depends on the number of copies, so this must be the input. You know, I'm just going to put X for this. Let's always remember things like that, all right? Let's get a smaller eraser. So the input is the X, so I'm going to call that. The number of copies is X. The total monthly cost is Y, okay, all right? Because that's how much we're going to that's the result of it, that's what we're going to spend, depending on the number of copies. So writing a verbal rule to determine the total monthly cost, well, here it is. It's going to be 400, let's just put Y equals, all right? Okay, so the total monthly cost, the Y, okay, is going to be 455. Now, I'm just writing this in terms of numbers, actually. I'm not really doing verbally, I'm thinking algebraically. Plus, right, it's going to be, you know, I'll just write 1.5 cents per copy, okay? Write it like that. Okay, so I'll leave it at that because let's look at some of the numbers down below here. Okay, so if I'm making 5,000 copies, right, now think about this, get your calculator up. 5,000 copies, I'll just drop this a little bit so you can see it. 5,000 copies. Okay, costs me 1.5 cents a copy. Write that as dollars, all right? Change that to, so multiply by 0.015, which is what 1.5 cents is, okay? So it's just going to be $75, okay, for printing 5,000 copies. Plus, don't forget the $4.55 you get charged as well. It's going to cost you $5.30, okay? I'll just do one more. I'll do the 10,000 one, okay? So again, 10,000 copies. It's going to cost me 1.5 cents for every copy, so I'll multiply that by 0.015, 15 cents per copy, okay? So it's going to cost me $150. Remember, it was $75. That makes sense. $75 for 5,000, $150 for 10,000, plus again the standard $4.55 monthly charge. So that's going to be $605. So now look at this. Even though I've made twice as many copies, right? It's not costing me twice as much, okay? Because that $4.55 is the fixed amount. All right, I'm not doubling it. Right? They're going to charge me $455. It's the number of copies that's important. All right. So I might just jump to the algebraic expression for this because if I go back and look at this, I've just said, okay, the answer, okay, the monthly cost here is, and I'm doing exactly how I calculated these numbers, all right? I'm saying it's 455 plus, what am I doing with that 1.5? I'm multiplying it by the number of copies, okay? So if it's 5,000 copies times 1.5, 10,000 copies, multiply by 1.5. So if I just say, call X the number of copies, supposing we don't know, you know, we're going to say, okay, X is the input, remember, that's the number of copies, then here's the algebraic expression, okay? Shall I write it somewhere? Here we go. Y equals 455. Now, I can see some different letters they're using, but let's just keep Y's and X's for now. Plus, now let's change that 1.5 cents to dollars. Okay, 0.0, you know, 2 decimal places, a bit like percentages. And again, I'm multiplying this by the number of copies, which we're going to call X. So that there is the equation. That's the algebra. I'm just going to erase that underline there. Okay, that's the algebra. Okay, there it is. Now again, they're saying, now watch the letters of course, what they're saying is let n represent the number of copies and c the total monthly output. Okay, so they're saying this, c equals, again, same stuff, I'm just changing the letters only because they've decided to, that's all. Okay, plus 0.015 and the number of copies is n. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you can choose your own letters if you want to, okay, but it's the same thing just with different letters. Okay, now so what we're saying here is okay, if I put that in, supposing I want to let's do the 20,000. okay, what I'm saying is I would then put that right there, or of course right there if I'm using this one. But mostly probably done that in your head, you know, okay, I'm going to do this times by the number of copies, then add 455, that will give me the y, the output, the answer. Okay, so you've just created that. Now then, so that's you knowing the number of copies. You can put it into the equation and find out the monthly cost. Okay, because you can kind of do it in your calculator. Now I'm going to pause there because I'm assuming they might be saying, okay, if I know the monthly cost, all right, we've just spent this much. How many copies did we make? That's going to be the harder one. Okay, we've got to get to that.